When I was 19, I moved to the inner city of Atlanta, and I lived there for a couple years. It was in that place that I discovered I was an artist, in kind of the brokenness. Like the sidewalks were just covered with litter and broken glass, and what really felt to me like a mosaic. Like there was a way that the beauty in what was so painful, like I think just like woke up this artist within me. I feel like my identity has really come from not being. That so much of like who I am as a person was created in an environment of not being able to be anything that I wanted to be, and then being many things that, or like having things put on me that didn't feel like me. So I created a lot of my identity out of being neither or not being. And I think that's one of the reasons why I create. So much of my artwork explores my identity or identity in general, and the questions of who we are and how who we are really interacts with the world and with others. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I grew up in a really, I grew up in an area where I would say Caucasian or white was completely the minority. And I'm mixed, right? I have a multicultural identity. My dad is from Chile. Here we are, this immigrant family, and my dad, and actually all of his siblings, married Americans. My mom was always estranged from her family. There was no family identity. Meanwhile, my dad and my grandparents, who I grew up with and were always around me, had this like very rich identity. But we didn't speak Spanish in the home. I don't have a dark skin color. I don't have a lot of physical features that automatically identify me as Hispanic or Latino, and I don't have language. Actually, all the way through college, I had a number of people tell me, like whenever I tried to be part of the more Spanish-speaking group, like, you're not one of us. Like, you're really not one of us. And that, actually that cultural schism created a lot of my understanding of who I am. Having so much conflict within my multicultural identity is just one of many conflicts that really shape the work that I do. I have a lot of conflicts around being female, like feminine versus masculine. I think it's Paulo Coelho who says, what is most deeply personal is also most universal. One of my most recent works is called Growth Rings. Near my house, there are a lot of huge stumps. And I started just kind of exploring these stumps and looking at the patterns and designs that were on them. The body of this tree holds so much, because not only are there the growth rings that are created, right, as it grows and it lives, and as it has times of abundant water or complete scarcity, because there's all this weathering and there's the cracking and it's really a beautiful and complex pattern. And then of course I love to work with clay, and different types of clay are called clay bodies. And I just wanted to kind of, find a way to explore the ways that these things hold. So I made these giant slabs and I pushed them onto these stumps. And from those amazing intricate patterns, which turned out to look a lot like muscle, I formed them into different parts of the female form. The conversation of the way that the tree held things, but then the way that I held things, right? There are so many places inside me. As we age and as we grow, we expand. We hold more contradiction. We're able to be both the war that explodes and pushes ourselves away and apart, and also one with so many different bodies. Having my sister come to see my thesis, when I hung my work for my thesis and getting my BFA in fine art, she came into the room and she was at the opening, and she looked around and whatever. And later in the day when we were at home, she said, "This is what you were made to do. I can see it now." And I was just I knew I was an artist at 19, but there was no support for that. There was no family support. There was no internal support. I didn't think I was good enough. I decided and kind of had the opportunity and space to go back to school to study art. I feel like I'm an artist not because I make art, but because I can't not make art. There's been so many times when I've quieted it, when I've said, no, you can't you can't do that. And deep inside, like it wells up and it won't be quiet. Like, and I finally feel like I'm listening to that voice.